Hey everyone, welcome to Empower Team Monday Night Training. I'm Natalie Dolan, Sapphire Brand Ambassador, and we have such a rich, full night for you guys. First of all, just want to go over a couple announcements. Per usual, we have two events coming. And if you didn't know, we put all of the schedule on our team page cover photo. So it looks like this. And you go to the team page and you will always know what we have going on, our team events, everything that you can expect. So we have an opportunity focused event on the 8th at 10:30. And we're going to be talking about hope for the holidays, how people can make money in a season where people are spending a lot of money and in a season where people need a lot of money and they're looking for hope and are looking for relief. So we absolutely, it is our duty and our responsibility to shed that light and spread that hope for the people who are looking for it. And so we won't know until we put it out there. So we have that on the 8th. And then we also have a product focused event on December 20th at 8:30, where we're going to be talking about our foundational gut health products. And we will also be mentioning and bringing up the reset, which if there's any time of year for us to actually focus heavily on the reset, it's this time of year where people are going into January looking for a reset, literally. And that word is thrown around a lot. And so it's really cool that we have a whole entire product called Reset. And so us working to bundle that with our gut health products for long-term results, not quick fix users, that's going to be amazing. So that you are going to want to optimize these events in that order. So look for that. Also on the cover photo, for quick reference, we always have the income earning potential for anybody that, you know, it's something that you can share with people and should be sharing with people what their options are, because for some people, they'll look at this and see an extra 300 and be like, wow, this is incredible. And then some people will be like an extra, you know, $1,500, $1,600. Wow, that's incredible. And then that opens the door for you to cast bigger vision about making an extra couple thousand a month, 5,000, 10,000 and beyond. So don't neglect to do that. And then on Thursday, we are starting our new book club, which is the 21 Laws of Leadership. And so the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. This is the most foundational book on leadership out there, the most infamous book on leadership, the most thorough. If you want to know anything about leadership, you should know this book like the back of your hand. I mean, at this point, I've read this book. I don't know, this will probably be like the 5th time I've read this book. I definitely read it yearly, probably at this point. So, and that's why tonight we want to talk to you guys about our stories of leadership. And then stay tuned for afterward, because Natalie Borges is going to take us into the Pink Power call, where she's going to talk to us about how to manage your time, how to overcome obstacles to working your business during the holiday season. And so that is going to be huge, because you are going to need to go into December with intentionality. But as a business owner, you can do it. And so Natalie's going to take that home for us. So tonight is the night. So first of all, we want to talk about your potential as a leadership. And so as a leader. So, so sorry, got a tickle in my throat. We want to share just about how in the beginning, how we felt coming into this business. So we all come into this business from ground zero, having no joins, knowing nothing about this business. And we all start off on the same level of, we have to learn it all. we have to go silver, we have to learn the skills, we have to develop ourselves. And so when you came into this business, maybe you knew that there was leadership involved, maybe you didn't. But for the majority of us, and what we tend to hear a lot is sometimes people, sometimes we don't see ourselves as leaders. Sometimes we don't understand the concept of what that really is. And so when I first started, I think really, when I think back on my leadership journey, I think, man, when I started, I was just clueless. I didn't really know much about leadership. I didn't have a grasp on any of the concepts. I hadn't had really many opportunities to lead. But what I found out was that we're all leaders, and we all have the potential to learn the skills and to learn the philosophies around leadership and apply them. No matter who you are right now, I've heard people say, I'm just not a leader. And the fact of the matter is, you're leading people already. You probably have the people on here who have kids, you're leading your kids. The people who have friendships, you are influencing and leading your friendships. If you have friends, you probably have influence with them, and leadership is influence. So we're all doing that. It's just a matter of refining. So some of the things that I did in the beginning was, first of all, I read this book. This is the 21 Laws of Leadership is the first leadership book I ever read in my life. It was my first exposure to the concept of intentional leadership. And so that's what I did, number one. So now is the perfect time for you to dig in. I read that early on in my business before I considered myself to be a leader. I probably only had like Natalie on my team working, and poor Natalie has been with me since the very beginning. and so she's had to deal with a lot, all of my leadership failures throughout the years, right? But thankfully, Natalie learned to lead herself, which is a big part of leadership. And so thankfully, in this business, we do get the opportunity to fail forward. And I would say that my biggest tip on leadership is just failing forward. It's trial and error. It's saying, hey, I'm going to start coaching my people. And even though I'm nervous, and even though I've never done this before, I'm going to just try imperfectly. And I'm going to sometimes fall short, and I'm going to make mistakes and not show up in the right way. And that's okay, because I will just keep on going. If I would have quit years ago, I would have never been developed into the leader that I am now. And what I'll say with that, and I want to pass it on because I've already talked a lot, but I am still a work in progress. So if you're on this team, you might look at me and think, oh, she's just a leader. Maybe you think she's a natural leader, or maybe you think, whatever you think is, I am still a very imperfect leader. And so I still have a ton to learn about leadership, and you can still make an impact as a leader. You can still be very successful and still be a major work in progress all at the same time. And that is okay. There is no arrival point for you to be successful. It is just trial and error, failing forward. And so that's my take on it. I'll pass it on for everyone else's. Natalie?
Yes, I love this topic, and I think it's so amazing that we're talking about it. To be honest, I have felt, so I started my leadership I think at a young age, because I started doing girls ministry at my church probably when I was like 15, 16, right? So I felt very confident in like my spiritual mentorship, right? Because I felt like I had done that up until my early 20s, and I felt confident in that. But I will say it was very hard for me to translate what I was doing on a ministry level into business. That was hard for me. Okay. I felt uncomfortable with that because I had only done this, like, ministry, church, spiritual leadership that I mean, I had, really enjoyed that. I loved doing that. And I was like, how in the world am I going to lead in business? Right. Because it just was not something that I had ever done before. I had no prior experience with business. I had no prior experience with network marketing. I had no idea what this even was. Like, I remember even talking to Natalie about this multiple times. What is this though? Like, I had previously been scammed in anyway, it was just so much that I did not know with network marketing. And so I was really, really intimidated by that. So that was a huge insecurity for me, was how am I going to translate over, right, to business, to lead a team? And it just took trial and error. I mean, I wish I had this amazing strategy for you. And we read these leadership books that are really great to level us up as leaders. But really, it's just trying over and over and over again to lead people well. I remember I was reading Proverbs in the beginning of my business, and I will fall off of that, and then I go back to it, reading Proverbs every day. I mean, it's like there's so much in there about business. So God talks about that a lot. God talks about money a lot in the Bible. There's so much scripture about that. So that helped me to translate that over to what we're doing here now. I loved Brene Brown's Dare to Lead. That was really good for me. I loved The Magic of Thinking Big. Sometimes I think things that hinder us in our leadership is that we don't see things for ourselves necessarily, and we don't see it for other people. So then we don't vision cast, and then we don't believe in ourselves. And so really digging into belief is important in leadership. I also loved Developing the Leader Within You, which I really loved, which is by John Maxwell as well. Like Natalie said, the 21 laws, all of these tools were really amazing resources for me. Also, following women that were doing business was also very, very eye-opening for me. Really, it's just the contrast of where I was then and where I am now. I would say in the beginning of my business, I also felt timid to have hard conversations. And now I feel like it does not bother me as much as it did, right? So there are things that you will see in yourself that, wow, yeah, 6 years of doing this, and I don't feel so intimidated by that anymore, and it, like I said, it just takes trial and error. It just takes practice. So I think I've improved in that, seeing conflict resolution as a part of of personal growth, and then things that I can help other people develop themselves into, and also communication. Like, we get to do this, I get to do this, and I am not the same leader I was 6 years ago. I am actually completely different because I have confidence now. I can speak boldly. I don't shy away from things. I don't shy away from the truth. If I have to tell someone the truth, and it's kind of hard to share that sometimes, I don't run from that anymore. I actually believe that it's been all this leadership development and doing Plexus that I am the person I am today. And so I can keep going, but that's my little leadership take.
Hey guys, Sabrina Diaz, and I'm going to be as real can be with you. I came into this business. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had 3 little kids. I was a military wife. I had not worked in a couple of years. We moved all over the place, and I really wasn't in the best headspace. I really did not know, just like Natalie said, what it really entailed. But what I did know is that I did not have anything like in my name. I know that I didn't have a paycheck coming in with my name. Not that we absolutely needed it, but we were tight. But it always came in with my husband's name on it. And it drove me insane. It like being a mom is a full-time job, and it felt great to be a mom, but I knew I was destined for more. And enough was enough. After a while, I wanted my kids to see that mommy was successful too. But really at the end of the day is I needed to prove to myself, for my own self-worth, that I was successful. But let me give it to you straight right now. I did not come into this business confident or knowing all the things or taking selfies. Like, let's be for real. I came into this business terrified. I have never taken a selfie before a day in my life. Never, ever took a selfie. I didn't have a lot of the skills. I knew how to love people. I knew how to find information, and I knew that I wanted to be successful. So what I did was I watched a ton of YouTube videos. I was not a very strong reader in the very beginning. I am a very hands-on type person. So I watched every YouTube video that I could find. I watched Diamond Docs for inspiration. I watched training videos for knowledge. I watched everything that I could possibly get my hands on, and I developed myself. So what I came into this company not knowing to do, nothing came natural to me. Absolutely nothing came natural to me. I was afraid of what people thought. I was afraid of the man. Like, I was afraid of what people would say, what people would think, what people would do. I was not a public speaker. I couldn't even physically bring myself to speak in front of people. And I was extremely insecure. I was so insecure. I did not have any confidence. But these are things that if you pour into yourself, these are things that you can develop. You can learn to post on social media. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of adjustment. It takes a little bit of practice, habit, but you can learn how to post. You can learn how to take good pictures. You can learn to be an entrepreneur, a businesswoman, showing up, leading a team. I have people come to me, I don't know what it's like to be a leader. Neither did I. There was one day that I decided that I was going to click that enroll button. I never thought, look at the people around you. I was looking at Tova. I was looking at Fallon. I was looking at Brittany Howard. One day, those women, they decided to click the enroll button. We all started with nothing. We all started with 0 points. And I thought, if they could start at nothing and build to what they have now, why can't I? Why can't I develop it? Nobody was born, came out of the womb, a network marketer and knew how to be a diamond right from the start. It is a learning process. But the cool part about network marketing is everything is learned behavior. If you have self-drive within yourself, if you want to be successful, you will be successful in this business. Hands down, nothing can stop you but yourself. And what I have learned, one of my biggest things that I've learned in this business is listening. I know that seems so minute, maybe not huge, but with my ADHD or with my manic mindset, I used to just impulsively speak. I used to just impulsively just have the answer. I have learned to sit back, listen, and take in the feedback. And that is what has made me a better leader from today on. So that is my input.
Hey guys, Kylie Davila here. Okay, so if you weren't here from the beginning, I wish you could see me then, because even on one of our leaders meetings, Natalie was saying how it's been like, I've completely changed my identity. And yes, I'm like still me, but I started out this business, like I have never been the person to want to be seen, like leading. Like I'm a great follower. I would work really hard. I like to be behind the scenes. And so in this business, obviously you're growing a business and you're pulling up leaders underneath you. And I was really thinking about like a lot of things, what I wanted to share. And I remember one of my posts, that I had put, I don't know what it said, but somebody had commented, well, you could sell anything. And I just remember that. And I'm like, well, yeah, maybe I could because I'm friendly, but this isn't about selling a product. I mean, yes, we're selling health and wellness and all of that, but this is in this business, you have to learn to develop leaders. And that is something that takes a lot of thought, a lot of self-awareness. That is one thing, self-awareness, which can be so incredibly painful because while you become aware of your strengths, there's also those things that you learn that you are not good at. And then you can be like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at that, and then you start to like, well, this person is, and whatever, you get in your mind. That's why they say that this business is literally 80% between here, 20% skill, and then 80% here, because that is the truth. So I wrote down on this paper, and I'm trying to talk fast so I can wrap it up before we pass it on. But I said, in the beginning, I did not see myself as a leader. I felt insecure, scared, intimidated. I was paralyzed by fear. I had low self-worth. I was running my business on borrowed belief. That was 100%. Like Natalie told me I could do it. So I was like, well, if they said I could, then I guess, I don't know what I'm doing, but they said I could. I did not take full ownership. Like I would have never went and did anything without Natalie. Like I was never like, oh, I'm going to step out and do this. Like there was none of that. I was so scared, you guys. And so I would question, I remember even Natalie saying, make a video to post in the page, and me thinking, what? Like I could never post because like, I'm not like them. I'm not like the people. And so I just always battled this. And since I was a little girl, like, thank the Lord for the Lord, because he has instilled things inside of me. So like, I almost like battled myself. Like there was things I knew God called me to, but then it was like my mind would come into it. And so I was like in this battle, right? And so kind of like the turnaround, I have a few aha moments. One of them completely unrelated to Plexus, but I was at a church and the pastor was like preaching on whatever and saying, what I've found is like the closer people get to me, the more disappointed they are in me because they see how human I am. Like they think I'm here at the pulpit preaching because God gave me something special for me to be able to show up. And then when they realize how normal I am, it's almost disappointing. Like, hey, I'm just a person, I'm human. And the difference between me and you is like, yes, not everybody's called to be a pastor or a preacher, but he was saying like the difference is I wake up every single day and then I choose to do the hard. And so that was like an aha moment for me, like, oh my gosh, like that is the difference from the people who make it. Second thing was Ruby retreat, my very first Ruby retreat. And going there and just seeing all of the like people who had made it, right? We all always think like diamonds, oh, she's a diamond. And we put them like on this pedestal and like, can I really get there? But they're just so normal. And I came away from Ruby retreat really confident. I don't know, because I was like, they're just normal people. And if they can do it, I can do it too. And then Natalie had already mentioned a little bit, but I remember going to my first leaders retreat and Melissa Eichenhorst speaking on failing forward. And that's the first time I ever heard that concept. Like failing forward is good. It's like you should fail forward. It means you're trying and you're trying and you're trying. And I think for the longest time, like I was so scared to fail. And then it was like a normal thing, like, oh my gosh, it's normal to fail. And so kind of like the difference, like where I was paralyzed by fear before, and now I've learned to like feel the fear and just do it anyways. Because by doing it, that's where you're going to get like the competence, which feeds your confidence. And you have to start somewhere. You have to act. You can't just like absorb all the calls and the information and take all the notes. Like if you're not going to apply it, then you're never going to grow or go anywhere. And then taking inventory of my thoughts. That was huge because not every thought that comes across your mind is the truth. And so I would go back, like anything I was battling in my mind, I would go back to like the word and I would like look it up in scripture. No, this is who God says I am, and kind of like giving myself that. And so I have like a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm going to pass it off to Tova, but those are the main things that I thought about when comparing myself from beginning to now.
Those are all so good. Tova here. So I'm going to try to wrap it up for you guys with some nuggets. So one of my favorite leadership quotes is from Maxwell, and it says, if you think you're leading, but no one is following, then you're only taking a walk. And so I tell you guys, a lot of people, like the girl said, they don't see themselves as a leader. And I would say to you, why not you? There's nothing special about leaders except they are committed to learning and improving their weaknesses. And I don't even like to call them weaknesses, like getting stronger in certain areas. Guys, I promise all of us have weaknesses. We're going to do this book of the 21 Laws of Leadership. Like, it's got to be numbered 1 through 21. So something's going to end up in the bottom half. And so really my point one is, if I were to write a letter to my old leader self from now, 4 years ago, some advice I would give her is being aware and curious. So not being afraid of the areas that you need to work on, being kind of excited and just aware. Because a lot of times what we think leadership is, or even what we think we're good at and weak at, isn't necessarily true. And I think that starts with two things: awareness and open-mindedness. So set aside your preconceived ideas about what you think is a good leader, or what you think leadership necessarily shows up as, and all the steps you think that are needed to get there. Some of it's going to be easier than you think, and some of it's going to be harder than you think. And a lot of it's going to look way different than you would suspect. So if you're just aware and open-minded, then I think you're more pliable. It's easier to teach yourself. I would say prioritize, because you can really get into so many things to learn, and they're all good. And you end up working on a bunch of things and being mediocre at a bunch instead of excellent at a few. And your upline will help you prioritize that. So because I can get all over the place. So I would tell myself to laser focus on a few things. And there's a lot of things you can work on that aren't going to necessarily grow your business. That's another important thing. Fallon said it a few weeks ago, like, when you're Diamond, you can learn about all these things about why I think that, why I do that. Like right now, focus on the stuff that's going to grow your business, so you have the luxury of time to do that later. Be patient with yourself. This is going to take time. A lot of people don't become good leaders for a reason. Okay, it can be painful and it can bring up a lot of things, but just being open to that. And setting your ego aside. That kind of goes with my last point of being brave. It's okay to not know how to do the thing. I had a hard time with not being excellent at everything. And to be honest, looking back, I kind of stuck to the things I was excellent at and stayed away from the things I wasn't, because it feeds your ego. It feels good to do the things you're really good at. But those things that you need to work on is where the magic happens. So I encourage you to be brave about chasing those down, focusing, being patient with yourself, and keeping an open mind. Those are my tips. Now, you have anything to add? I know we have our next call.
That was awesome. I hope that you could see yourself in one of our stories, and to see that we're all just so human, and every single one of you on this call can be transformed into a really life-giving leader. So, all right, guys, y'all have a good night. See you on the next call.